You've watched the video and you've heard the reviews. There are those people that say the only proper way to listen to Baroque and classical music and even some romantic music is with historically informed performances. Well, let's be honest, I like a lot of these performances, but sometimes they can just sound horrible. So what's going on here? Was it just a fad in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and now we're getting over it, or is there something to it? So historically informed performances, period instrument orchestras and ensembles, they came on the scene in the 60s and were extremely popular through the 80s and 90s, and some people are really strong adherents to it right now. I can see people writing in the comments already before they finish the video. Please finish the video. See, these performances promised authenticity. They're sometimes even called authentic performances. That seems a little bit arrogant. Are you sure you have everything correct? And the marketing, such as it is for classical music, pushed it really hard. Authentic, true, and the one that's hard to argue with, historically correct. And at first, it really was quite a revolution. It sounded very fresh and different from the overly lush early and mid 20th century recordings of Bach and Mozart and even Beethoven. So it seemed like it was going to be the new wave, absolutely incontrovertible way to do these things. I think a lot of what has been accomplished with that has been really good for our music. A fresh approach, a dedication to really look carefully at the scores, the original printed editions, the handwritten editions. But there has been true pushback on this. What has that been about? Well, the biggest problem is when you say authentic performances, we have no way of really knowing what that sounded like. There are no recordings from the 1680s, much less the 1810s or 20s. Now, we do have written treatises, which are great to look at. They talk about the way things sound, but that always falls short. If you've ever read a review of a concert, you know that the review isn't the actual experience itself. It's like as if you said, I'm thirsty, and I look at you and say, water. Well, you know what that is, but you're still thirsty. It's not the experience. And so the problem becomes we don't know what it actually sounds like, and we're not even sure how people play. For example, one of the things that's often missing in these historically informed performances is improvisation. Really, up until the early 1800s, there is a strong emphasis on improvisation. Now, a lot of you realize that in movements like suites, where there's a repeat of the A section, the B section, you're supposed to do something different to keep it interesting. And for a lot of us, that just means doing a different dynamic, maybe different phrasing. But even the authentic instrument players often don't do what absolutely would have been done back then, which is ornamentation, some improvisation. And so a lot of so-called authentic or period instrument performances, they just totally miss that point. So what happened with this, the reaction against it is things can become quite dogmatic. We are scholarly, we've done research on it. This is absolutely the way it has to be played and the way it should sound. So you get people like Roger Norrington, who had a very strict, very strong view about the way performances should go. And I enjoy many of his performances, but I have to be honest, some of his approaches are just wrong. Like the idea of never using vibrato or using it very sparingly. We know that people used vibrato, but he just took this one approach and maybe he never said it explicitly, but made us feel like everything else is nonsense. And the way we play it is the only true way to play it. And another huge point to this is modern concert halls are very different from the spaces that this music was played in the late 17th century and 18th centuries and even into the 19th century. And we have to adapt to that. And so sometimes these performance practices and these instruments just don't translate that well into these new spaces. Okay, now here's the case for historically informed performances. First of all, as I mentioned, there's a lot of scholarship that goes into them. So we're finding out that some of the editions we've used previously were not all that accurate. And also with historically informed performances, we see a lot more attention to nuance like gestures within the phrasing. A lot more attention is paid perhaps to dynamic rhythm and to the harmony and the harmonic changes, making a bigger deal of those and not so much the overall lush sound that was so prevalent up into the 60s and 70s. Another thing is that period instruments can often reveal textures that are just harder to get with modern instruments. Anyone who's played a forte piano compared to the modern pianoforte will tell you that playing Mozart, all those fast scales in Mozart, are far easier on that, and they're also quite clear. And I can attest to playing a period instrument with gut strings, the cello, or viola da gamba. You get a lot more articulation, and you do get a very refined bow arm because you can't press for the sound. It all has to be in the fluidity and relaxation of your arm, your wrist, even your shoulder. So there's a lot we get out of historically informed performances that can help, even if we're playing in a modern way with modern instruments. It also does, I have to admit, rein in some of the excesses that we hear in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s performances. You know, the huge orchestras that are playing Bach and Mozart, they have a huge, wonderful, lush sound, but it probably is not what they were going for. And I must also admit, if you're a good performer, playing Bach, Mozart, Beethoven on a period instrument can really make that music sparkle and jump off the page and catch your ear. It can be extremely clear and refreshing to listen to. So now you're saying, so give me the verdict. What is it? Is it historically informed performances, or do we just reject all that and go with the modern way of playing? And what I want to tell you is don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Historically informed performances give us great insight, but we do have to be cognizant of modern audiences, modern concert halls, and the sounds that people expect to hear now. I always say that what's important is to bring the music of those composers alive for modern audiences. And we are just the tools for that. Not just the instruments, but we performers are the tools for bringing that music alive. And you can play great music like Bach on an accordion. You can play it on marimba if it's got a great player doing it. You see, I think it isn't just that you should be authentic. I think that you should be sincere and bring the music alive in a way that delivers the message that the composer was trying to present to the audience. So I think historically informed performances showed us a new way to do things, but I don't like it when anything becomes dogma. Dogma doesn't belong in musical performance. If you're a good performer and your performance moves the audience, then it's valid, whether it's gut strings or metal strings, no vibrato or lots of vibrato, or as Duke Ellington said, if it sounds good, it is good. That's the way we performers should approach music. So I would say don't throw out historically informed performances, whether you're a performer or an audience member. Listen to what you like, play what you like, but just take it as yet another tool for us to perform better. So what do you think? Are you in one of the camps? Do you think that historically informed performance is the new way and the only correct way? Or do you think that we should just disregard that and just go with our modern performance standards? Or are you with me, thinking that we can take a bit from here and there and make something new out of it? Let me know in the comments. I know there are strong feelings about it, but let's be nice in the comments. And thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And remember, you can now become a channel member. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.